Um, Nice to see you guys. How you doing?
Very
All
well, man.
good.
You.
You're both where are you? Both Bombay?
I'm
Uh,
Bombay.
I'm in Delhi, man.
You're in
In
Delhi.
South, actually, yeah.
Oh yeah. You're Delhi based.
Yeah.
How's lockdown been treating you boys?
Not kindly.
No.
Not too kindly. It's affected us the worst, basically, I think. So we're part of the leisure industry. So
Yeah.
anything that's leisure based, it's not going to get priority after the lockdown. So we're facing an uphill battle after the lockdown too.
Months. Yeah. Let's get into that in a second. Should we just start by everybody introducing themselves? Start with Madhav.
Hi, this is Madhav, and I produce and perform under the alias of Kohra. Used to perform and also run Qilla Records.
This is Navid Khan. I perform under my name Navid Khan, and in the recent past under my moniker Browncoat. I also manage Submerge's record label, and it's been up for the last 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Joshi. I'm co-founder of Azadi Records. All right, guys. Let's just start by the obvious ones. Impact of COVID-19 and how it's obviously affected our lives. Who wants to kick this off?
Go for it. Navid, I'll let you go first, man.
It's been terrible. It's been terrible. It's been terrible for everybody who's in the leisure business. It's not just us, the restaurants, clubbing, sports, anything which requires a lot of people to have fun. Basically, COVID has killed the fun out of the world. So it's going to be difficult for us. It is difficult for us now. It's going to be difficult, much more difficult in the coming months.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been. I think we kind of my end started seeing a little bit of the impact as early on in late Feb, I think, mid to late Feb. What about yourself, man? When did you start feeling it?
I think it was around the same time when the news started going out, and while things were still normal here and like some of the clubs were still functioning, we still had some gigs, but we kind of knew that we were heading towards pretty much a full shutdown. And I guess we were all kind of just bracing for impact, and that's pretty much what's happened. So, I mean, obviously it's affected like, anything that involves like a large gathering, from like sports to like music to like, like entertainment of all kinds. So yeah, I guess we're all still in the process of just reconfiguring our thoughts and kind of seeing what to do, and kind of how to plan out the next couple of years to see what we can really do and how we can kind of adapt with the times.
Yeah, man. I think early on, obviously, a lot of it was kind of speculation of what's going to happen. But I think now we've all kind of realized that it's I think bigger than any of us could have first imagined in terms of what the impact would be. I think, just obviously speaking kind of specifically about record labels, I know the live industry and obviously the record label industry do cross over a lot, especially in India. Especially indie labels. Azadi's business model specifically is, wholly leveraged on live. So if we're investing in an artist's music, we know that, okay, the recoupment of that for music alone, is going to take a long time. However, for short-term cash flow, the commission essentially in live bookings is what was keeping us afloat. Now, in terms of your own businesses, obviously from Azadi's perspective, we have 3 business streams. We have live, we have royalties, and then we have brand work.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, our royalties are still coming in. I'm hearing of anything up to a 25% drop, which is kind of yo-yoing a little bit, but I'm looking at our stats and we're at a 20% obviously drop there. Live, obviously zeroed out. Some of the brand kind of content work we were doing or booked in advance is still kind of happening. Anything that we were either quoting on or in negotiation with or closing is just paused. in that sense. So I think there's a kind of reevaluation. What are each of your businesses like in terms of, you know, what's been affected the most, and how are you now looking to kind of, obviously making up that is going to be near enough impossible, but at least looking at survival, which is essentially what we're doing.
Basically, I mean, for us, it's like a hybrid model. And I mean, primarily the funding for the label since the very beginning has been primarily due to gigs. Initially just, you know, like gigs that I'm doing that I'm putting back into the label just so that we can make sure that we're putting out the right music, the right way. But as it's kind of evolved, we also started handling bookings, and we have a couple of people working together on that front. And the revenue model was based on some percentage of, you know, booking fees that would come in and kind of, you know, just have the whole mechanism run itself. And now with the whole live area, exactly like you said, being so badly impacted, and, you know, literally us like not having any gigs, obviously it's going to be really difficult to see how we kind of take things forward. So we're still in the process of kind of understanding how we can deal with this and what we can do and what steps are necessary as we go on. But that's pretty much where we are.
I mean, same for Submerge. I think most record labels work around the fact that you can release a track and market a whole tour around that release. It works the same pretty much for every label. You can have like a single and you can run it for like a couple of months. And for Submerge, the added bonus was we were touring a lot of international DJs, and international DJs are more than happy to basically release music on Submerge because it gives them a new market. Because as you know, Madhav, Indian market is completely different than how the European markets and the American markets work. So these guys wanted to break into the Indian market, and we were getting a lot of international releases with the artists who were touring with us. Touring has stopped. So a lot of big name releases that were going to happen have been put on hold because these artists, they want to release only when they're touring in India. They've given us music, everything. So my releases are backlogged basically because now they want to release only when they're touring. Yeah. And same basically without the money from live gigs, I don't think so royalties can sustain many of us because we are not really as big as, say, a Martin Garrix or an Armin van Buuren, or for that matter, Maceo and Solomon, because their releases, they can actually count on people buying their music or listening in millions. We don't reach the million numbers. So royalties from streaming is just going to be negligible, even if it releases it out. And people don't buy music nowadays. Napster kind of killed that way back.
Yeah, I think kind of moving on to the music and the royalties. So we've been pretty shrewd with how and with who and where we distribute our music. We own all of it for a start, but we use kind of US-based distributors. So we have a deal with Merlin, we have a deal with AWOL, and we have a deal with STEM. Negatives to that is our music is not on Wink and Ghana. Positives to that is we pay 5% for distribution. So now I'm looking ahead, and you know, that extra 10, 15, 20% is really going to make, especially for us, is really going to kind of make a difference. I looked at digital stats. I've been looking at them pretty much every other day, just to kind of see where we are. And across the board, from kind of Brub to, you know, TNS, we're 20% down. Is that reflective on what you guys are seeing on your numbers over the last month?
At least for us right now, the sales have actually been consistent. We also haven't actually released anything post the whole outbreak as such. So I wouldn't be able to kind of directly compare this like right now. But so far, it seems to be pretty standard. So we'll have to only see in a couple of months once we start putting releases out, given the situation right now and the kind of limited cash flow people have, to really kind of know how much of a jump up or down it is.
Sorry, I specifically meant kind of back catalogue. So, for example, we've got a couple of hundred tracks.
Yeah.
Across, you know, 20, 30 artists.
Yeah.
And it's that you know, I know that Brub will do an X number of streams a day.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really vary more than 5%.
Yeah.
And with every release, that kind of baseline kind of goes up. For me, that baseline has dropped. So I've got, 30 songs, see them all, have 20 songs online, for example. There is a habitual habit which people stream music, whether it's at the gym, whether it's going to work, whether it's in their lunch break, at their desk. So that, where you've got people with a lot more free time and that may be streaming more music, you've got quite a sizable population which are out of routine, in essence. And music's a big part of a lot of people's routine, their daily lives. For me, I've seen that kind of drop. But another thing, I was speaking to actually the head of Merlin, Charles, and he was actually saying that there's two things going on here. One is the variant level of payouts for streaming platforms. So you've got subscription-based payout, somebody who pays a subscription, whether to Spotify or to Apple. Then you've got an ad-based payout, which is obviously your ad-based revenue. What they're seeing is an increase in subscribers, actually people going, you know what, I'm going to subscribe, but they're seeing a drop in advertiser revenue. So advertisers aren't spending like they obviously were. So ad-based revenue's gone down. So that they actually don't, you need to give it 3 to 6 months to kind of see where it falls out. But where we are at the moment, we're at around a 20% kind of loss. That said, we've kind of made a conscious decision to keep the calendar going in terms of the releases that we have. Obviously, adjust marketing strategy and how in essence the activation would go down, but we haven't necessarily pulled a release yet. What's your calendar looking like for both the kind of labels?
So our calendar actually is full up until September, and as soon as this whole thing happened, like the only one thing that I was definitely sure of was that none of the releases should or would get affected. So I've been planning everything out in advance in terms of like the whole process, everything from the artwork to the promotions and the scheduling and everything. So we've pretty much been keeping that in mind. So I don't think we're going to change or not release anything or pull out, just like you said, at least pretty much till the year end. And then depending on where we're at and how things look, we'll probably have to take a call. But also we've kind of been focusing more on a lot of Indian producers, which is something that we've been kind of actively doing for a while. And I think that would be really interesting because for us, we've kind of tried to stay clear from too many international releases and looking more at the homegrown artist pool, which is getting really good, like by the month, actually, we get like demos that are like a lot better and like there's a lot of people making music. So I think in that context, it'll still be cool to be able to push out this music and these artists and kind of see how at least people within the country respond to it, and then we'll take it from there.
So as Madhav said, even for me, the last release on our label was mine, which was on my birthday on the April 16th. And in the coming months, all the domestic releases have been pushed up, and we've lined up only our in-house rosters, all the Submerge artists, a lot of new producers basically from Bangalore and one from Northeast. So we're pushing them because, it's an opportunity for them now to get showcased on the national platform. So if the international DJs want to release it later, it's their call because it's eventually their music, and domestic artists are more than happy to put their music out. The only thing I feel bad about is because most of these guys would have loved to have had a tour along with the release, because it's always nice for new producers to basically go and see how it feels to play in a good venue as a headliner. And that's something that they will miss out on.
Yeah.
No doubt. Obviously, just touching on touring, I don't know what you guys are kind of thinking on it, but me personally, I don't see anything happening this calendar year.
Yeah, same.
From especially in a large scale, you might be able to put on an event which is at 20-30% capacity with some extreme PPE and
best case scenario
distancing. But would you really want to do that? Do you know what I mean in that sense? So
it could be fun. There was a time when we used to have these we used to have these silent noise parties where people would put on headphones, and it was unthinkable. Like, how would people dance without actual loud music? But people did.
Yeah.
It worked for
Yeah.
a while in places like Goa and Bangalore.
Yeah,
Maybe we could have
solid.
PPE parties and people just come in with full like nuclear protection here and party with us.
PPE party. There's definitely an angle there, I'm telling you. So
I think somebody in Berlin is already planning this.
yeah, I can imagine. It's probably already happening as far as we know. I was actually speaking to my cousin who's lived in France a lot, and he's got a lot of friends in France. And France's apparently underground rave scene right now is booming. Yeah, they've got some serious parties going on, from what I understand.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, pretty irresponsible, but yeah. Just want to kind of go back to revenue a little bit. Obviously, Bandcamp a little while ago waived fees, and they're doing it again.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice a benefit from that? How much of your music do you guys sell through, Bandcamp-esque peer-to-peer kind of platforms?
So basically, I think it's interesting you brought it up because I've actually personally kind of been in the process of migrating from most other platforms to Bandcamp over the last year and a half, and maybe even about 2 years. And the thing is, slowly, like I've realized that the community and the format of how Bandcamp works is a lot more transparent, and definitely makes a lot more sense to me in terms of the whole music business aspect of just selling music online. And with these kind of campaigns that they're doing in the next ones, and the first, I think, where they're kind of going to waiver off their distribution fees. So we're actually putting out our first Bandcamp release on the 27th, this Monday. And then we're going to kind of take it from there, because I definitely want to kind of eventually migrate more to Bandcamp, because their whole model makes a lot more sense to me as an artist and as a label.
Yeah, Bandcamp is a lot more artist friendly. They are looking at building a good database, so they're being really friendly towards artists. So there's a big payout for the artists.
Yeah, we've been big Bandcamp fans since kind of 2017 when we set the label up. So every single one of our releases has always been available on Bandcamp the day it was available on Spotify, unless it was an exclusive. And so I can give a little bit of kind of history here in terms of volume. It's obviously negligible in that sense in terms of number of transactions, but I'm obviously basing that on our size and kind of scale. However, the revenue size does make it up, just because of obviously you're selling in dollars, whether a dollar's 70 rupees or whatever, 65, 75, and that same track, if we sell it on iTunes for 18 rupees or $15, there's a stark kind of difference there. But I would definitely recommend Bandcamp, and we even sell through our own website, azadirecords.com. So everything's available there. High quality downloads in that sense. So it's definitely a kind of good thing if you're looking to set up a label, or if you've just set up a label. I would definitely put some energy there, because I think as your numbers grow, that percentage grows. Yeah. And I find a lot of DJs, because I look at the data that kind of comes out of it and the people that are bought, and I recognize a lot of the kind of emails and the names because of DJs going. So it's a good source in that sense. All right, so we talked about a lot of the gloomy stuff. Shit's really bad. New avenues. So obviously, you guys have been doing this for a while, especially Submerge as well. You're no stranger to the industry. New avenues of increasing revenue, new avenues of kind of engaging fans. What are you guys kind of working on in that sense?
It's been tough, to be honest. Basically, the whole Submerge has been an artist management agency, and the whole thing is based around events, live events, and live events. And without live events, it becomes a very, very tough sell to monetize anything. We've all been thinking about how to monetize the digital aspect of DJing. It's going to be really tough without any sponsors coming on board and actually backing the digitalization. it's looking a little tough going up. See, personally, I've been making a lot of jingles. I do a lot of work for the Bollywood movie industry, and all of that has just seemed to have stopped. So the alternate avenues when it comes to DJs is mostly everything related to music. So music is just, everything just seems to have been put on hold. From advertisements, movies, private events, live events, everything just seems to have been put on hold. I don't know when it's going to open up. The only hope is basically big brands coming on board and putting their sponsorship money, because they have to sponsor events. And in India, alcohol cannot be sponsored on TV and radio or any of this thing. So they have to sponsor. And the hope is that these guys come on board and monetizing digital live shows for DJs or something or the other. That's the only hope, I think so.
What about you, bro? Madhav?
Man, I think it's a really interesting time. I look at this as it's a show, there's no doubt about that, but I also think there's an opportunity here because I feel like, at least from where I come, the whole electronic music space was definitely going through a huge, very loopy kind of place where there's like the big headliners and these big shows and everything was just working in this one format, you know, and everyone could kind of like enjoy it to some extent, but everyone knew like it's kind of just headed in this one direction and just getting bigger and bigger in one direction. And all of that's now just kind of collapsed, right? So I think it's also an opportunity here to kind of re-look at things. And I also feel some of the very major dance music labels were kind of focusing on a lot of these big tracks, which would just kind of do its job on the dance floor, you know, for that 1 month or 2 months. And there was a lot of music which had a very short shelf life that was all over the charts. And I feel now that people have time in the context of this big party where, you know, everything's going to sound great. It's a huge party and there's so many people and the energy is like electric. That goes away for a long time. So people are going to be listening, and there's a lot of interesting music that I think one can kind of focus on and try and make some sort of a genuine community that is musically driven and connecting people, as opposed to a big festival or like a big brand or like only a big ticket, like headline artist. That's the only way things have been kind of working, at least in terms of the big numbers, and the big numbers convert to trends. And this is a time to kind of relook at things, because those trends will no longer exist, at least for the next year or two, by the way, you know, things are looking right now. So I feel we're also in the process of trying to kind of explore different ideas. See, everyone wants to jump on the whole digital kind of thing. And I'm a little unsure of it because it's the obvious next thing to do. I mean, we have the internet, we don't have gigs. What are you going to do? So I've been kind of seeing Twitch, and I've been seeing these really cool websites where there's kind of a whole club environment and an atmosphere. And I can see that's going to take some sort of, you know, importance in the scene, but will it really cut it? Will it really do the job? I don't think so, you know. So I think we'll have to kind of start from scratch and do things differently this time and see, you know, hopefully it leads to like some place where we can all survive and kind of see this through.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be massive changes to not only our industry, but most industries in that sense. Probably got 30 seconds left. If I could ask you guys in one sentence, 15 seconds to sum up your learning and just something positive.
I've been taking this time out to basically just learn new methods, new technologies, new VSTs. I figured out, I've been working on FL Studio for 20 years. I've made the switch to Ableton in the last 2 months. So I think so, make the most of it. Learn something new.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's a good. It's a great time as well. I mean, there's so many things that we all keep complaining about how we don't have time to do, and no one has that excuse anymore. So I think everyone's going fully like diving into exactly what they want to do and use that time well. And as long as we come out of this like a stronger, wiser, and better kind of, you know, race, I think I'm all for it.
Yeah, perfect, man. I pretty much echo both of those. Yeah, come out of it stronger. Lots of learning. I want to thank you both for being involved. I want to thank Submerge.
Thank you, Mo.
And the exchange. Yeah, tune in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.